Did you ever want to get inside an artist's head while he's painting? To try to learn and understand an experienced artist's decision-making process? Why they make the decisions they make, how they're looking at the reference? Well, if you have, then buckle up, because I'm inviting you in. Welcome to my channel. My name is James Owens, and I've been a working artist for over 35 years. On this channel, I teach you the techniques, tips, hacks, and history to help you become a better artist. And if you dig these videos and you're getting value out of them, please hit that subscribe button. I remember when I was in art school. You could sit and listen for hours to a lecture about art, but nothing beat when a teacher actually did a demonstration. I always got something out of that. So in this short video, I'm going to take you inside my thought process while I paint a small oil-on-linen painting of a bourbon bottle. A quick side note, in my last video, I featured how I shot the reference for this painting, and I'll put a link for that down below. Welcome inside my head. Just sit anywhere, there's plenty of room. Now, Henry Ford used to say that you could attain anything if you could break it down into steps. And one of the steps that I always start a painting with is I lay in my darkest tonal value first. This does two things for you. One, it covers canvas quickly, and I came out of the advertising illustration world where you kind of had to get on with things quickly. You didn't have time to mess around. The other thing it does is that it works as kind of a gauge, and it gives you a tonal value that you work all your other tonal values up out of. Now, you can see I laid in a cool foreground color. That's because I had two light sources with this painting. I used the window in my studio to let in the beautiful warm daylight, and I had a light on a stand that I keep in my studio and that I use for everything. Now, what was interesting about having that cool foreground color is that the beautiful amber colored bourbon in the bottle was sending these interesting reflections and refractions onto that cool foreground. So I had these hot spots against this cool foreground. Anytime you can get something like that going, mix the hot and the cold, it really tends to bring things to life. Including, it was reflecting all over the place, and it got on the side of that cork, and it just makes for a much more interesting painting. Now, this is not a very big painting. It's about 6 by 8 inches, and I used a fairly good sized brush with it. It was about a 1/2 inch wide. And now that does two things for you. One, at that size, you can cover canvas pretty quickly if you need to, like with that background. And the other thing it does for you is that it keeps things loose, and it helps you keep things painterly. Because let's face it, you can't noodle out a bunch of little details with a big fat brush. Now here you can see I'm laying in the darkest darks on the bottle. Some of them were black, and some of them were kind of a burnt umber color. The black, because it was glass and you could see through it, and that burnt umber, a little bit because you could see through it, but also because of that amber in the bottom of the bottle. It was bouncing light around and warming things up. Now, the interesting thing about this amber in this bourbon, it covered the color spectrum. It went from black to red to orange to yellow to even a hot spot with white. But what was fascinating was the glass bottle that holds the bourbon was picking up some of those cool reflections from the foreground. So in that amber, I had these wonderful little areas of cool color. Not too in your face, just very subtle, but it helps make it feel more real. You can see there that I laid in the base color of that label using a cool color because it's picked up that reflected light from the foreground. And here I am laying in the body of the bottle. Now I had lit this dark because I had tried to light it light, but you lost that label. The label was printed in white, and I wanted to be able to see that and indicate it when I painted it. Now check out these wonderful blue-gray highlights the bottle picked up. These are like a gift from God because this is a very warm painting, and anywhere you can stick in these beautiful cooler reflections really brings it to life and really makes it pop. The interesting thing about them was that they had a hot center. So you have this beautiful, cool reflection with a cool edge, but as you got more towards the center, it went more creamy colored, and some areas had very hot, pure white highlights. And that's another wonderful thing about painting glass is it's a wonderful excuse to put in these little dings, these little tinkles of highlight that just really make it feel reflective and come together and come to life. Now for the pure white, I like to use an alkyd-based titanium white. It's very opaque, and being alkyd-based, it dries very quickly, so it's perfect for thicker impasto layers. Now, I want you to begin to pay attention to the colors that you see. Look deeper. Don't paint what you know. Your memory will deceive you. So make it a practice to spend time observing your subject and looking closely for that world of color in subjects where you may have overlooked them in the past. Now, I want to chat a minute about observing color. In everything that we see, you'll find variations of color hue, tonal value, or color temperature. But we have to train our eye to see these things. When I was about 18 years old, I had a figure studies teacher named Tony Williams, and he had a profound effect on me. He had us drawing the figure with Prismacolor pencils, and part of the exercise was to stroke in and build up the color tones that we could observe in the figure. One day, Tony stopped by my easel and observed what I was doing. And then he said, "Nice work. I think you'd make a good painter." I had no idea how much what he said would affect me. That was the first time I ever sought to observe color. Up till then, white snow was just white, and that black car driving by was just black. But after that, light bulbs went off, and I started looking at those things differently. That black car was no longer just black. It was the reflection of the ground or the sky in it. That snow wasn't just white. It was the purple of the shadow of the snow and the yellow of the sun on it. And after that, I saw all kinds of variations of color in every skin tone. So now I said all that to say this. Start to take the time to pause and scrutinize the colors in your world. Become aware of the greater world your subject exists in. You'll be delighted by what you observe and how it affects your painting. Even if you're an artist that seeks to stylize and exaggerate their work, I believe that as artists, we must be able to accurately depict our subject, even if our end goal is to work in a stylized fashion. Our work should be stylized by choice, not by lack of skill. And I suppose it may be a little bit off topic, but be careful what you say to young people. It may affect them for the rest of their lives. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope you gained some insight from this video. So until next time, go make something cool. Owens out.